Hi everyone. How's it going? So today we're going to be presenting about the movie Kundun. So initially we're going to go over a brief overview of what we're going to be talking about today. Oh, okay. So the table of contents. We're going to first hit the overview of the movie, then go over the theme and the plot, and characters, film features, relevance to the readings, comparison to other Buddhist films, understanding, and also the rating that we gave this movie. So our initial overview. So obviously the title of the movie is Kundun. It was made in 1977. It is a drama slash history movie, and it is directed by Martin Scorsese. So Martin Scorsese is actually a very famous director, and he follows this epic biographical film that was written initially by Melissa Matheson, and it is based on the life writings of Tenzin Gyatso, who is the 14th Dalai Lama and the current Dalai Lama as well. So he was able to bring a unique cinematic style to tell the story of the Dalai Lama. So, what is the meaning of Kundun? The word Kundun is a Tibetan term that means the presence of a high Lama. The film specifically refers to the 14th Dalai Lama, who is considered the spiritual leader and symbol of Tibetan Buddhism. So, the plot of the movie, it's a pretty long movie. It was like 2 hours and 15 minutes, but essentially, it follows the life of the Dalai Lama. So, the film initially sets place, it starts in Tibet, and there's a couple visions from several other Dalai Lamas about the next Dalai Lama, and so they through these visions they're able to find a promising candidate and a child who was born into a farming family in the province of Amdo near the Chinese border. So the other lamas find this child and administer a test to it, and the child has just like various objects that once belonged to the previous Dalai Lama. If the child passes the tests, he and the family are brought to this palace, that child would become the next Dalai Lama. So during the movie, the child becomes homesick and frightened when he's in the temple. However, as the boy matures through age, he starts to take more of an active role in governance within religious leadership. So during his growing up phase in China, the communist regime was building, and essentially the Chinese communist regime will then proclaim Tibet as a traditional part of Imperial China. Following this, the chairman Mao Zedong tries to overtake Tibet, and Mao publicly expresses his sympathies to the Tibetan people, but he says that religion is poison. So after the Chinese make clear of their intentions to the Lama, he convinces his family and Lord Chamberlain to flee to India and run away. And essentially on this like trip back to India, he gets very sick and he has two new visions that their trip to India was successful through the Himalayas and that they'll once return to Tibet. So the main characters of the movie is Gyurme Tong, who plays the Dalai Lama, Tenzin Thothob, who also plays the Dalai Lama, Robert Lin, who plays Mao Zedong, and then Tilku Jamyang Kanga Tenzin, who plays the child Dalai Lama in the beginning sequences of the movie, Tashi Dondup, who's Lobsang, and Sonam Punsak, who is the retiring Rinpoche. So the themes in the movie that convey Buddhism are spirituality and faith. This is very prominent when the film features the Dalai Lama's deep spirituality and unwavering faith in Buddhism throughout the movie. Reincarnation and rebirth is another theme, as the film opens up with a new search for the Dalai Lama and the belief of reincarnation of the previous one. It is one of the central concepts of Buddhism and illustrates the cycles of birth, death, and rebirth. Another theme within the movie is compassion and loving kindness. The Dalai Lama emphasizes on compassion and loving kindness, and it is a recurring theme within the movie as it shows his teachings and actions which reflect true Buddhist values. Another theme is nonviolence and peaceful resistance. Throughout the movie, the Dalai Lama advocates for peaceful resistance as a response to the Chinese occupation of Tibet, as this aligns with Buddhist principles of avoiding harm and seeking peaceful solutions. Impermanence and suffering is the final theme, The film portrays the impermanence of life, especially in the context of the Tibetan people suffering due to political conflict. The Dalai Lama's journey embodies the Buddhist understanding of suffering. So next is a character description of the movie. So the main character obviously was the 14th Dalai Lama, and the director Martin Scorsese made the character development of the Dalai Lama a central focus and narrative of the movie. The movie showcases the growth and transformation from a young boy to a spiritual and political leader. So some of the things that happened throughout the movie was initially the Dalai Lama had innocence in youth, and this is portrayed through the young child and the choosing of the Dalai Lama, and this also marked his innocence. His next character development was spiritual awakening. As the film progresses, the Dalai Lama begins to receive spiritual education and guidance, and he starts to comprehend the significance of his position and the spiritual becomings that come from it. And finally, later on in the movie, he really shows his faith to nonviolence. Throughout the film, the Dalai Lama character's development is marked by commitment to nonviolence and peaceful resistance. Overall, the Dalai Lama's character development as a journey of personal growth, spiritual awakening, and the maturation of a young boy into a respected and revered spiritual leader, even in the face of political turmoil and adversity. And on the right is a picture of the current Dalai Lama. So these are some of the videos that show the character development of the Dalai Lama, but since I'm trying to save space on my laptop, I'm not going to play them. You can play them on your own time.
All right. Here we go. So the first scene that I want to bring to your attention is the recognition of the young child as the Dalai Lama. This scene, there's a lot. Oh, whoops. In this scene, there's a lot of instrumental music. It sounds like almost like a horn, and there's a lot of slow panning shots, and the camera moves slowly, and it stays on the scenes, and it doesn't cut for a long time, so it kind of gives like a dramatic effect in its own way. There's also a lot of people in similar like full body robes almost, and the ones that I assume have more status or power in the society have more elaborate robes. In one shot, there's like a ton of people, which shows how massive an event and how important the recognition of a Dalai Lama or a new Dalai Lama is in that culture. So, in terms of the relevance of the film, the tradition of the Dalai Lama, we have it's an honorary title afforded to successive reincarnations of Avalokitesvara from within the Gelug school of Tibetan Buddhism, which the film is focused on. We also have the Tibetan Buddhist, basically the history of the film, or not the history of the film, the history of Tibetan Buddhism, which is one of the main areas where Buddhism is practiced. There's a long history of Buddhism in Tibet, and the first Buddhist monastery, was established there in the 8th century. So it definitely has a long history, and it's been there for a while. Tibet's also where the movie is based. The Gelug is what we talked about earlier. It's the newest school of Tibetan Buddhism. It was founded by J. Tsongkhapa in 1375 to 1419. J. Tsongkhapa is a Tibetan philosopher. The Gelug translates to School of the Virtuous. Next, Tibetan Heroes and Chinese Villain. The film follows a trend of many films focusing on Tibetan culture by depicting typical Chinese villains, which are the communists, and the Tibetan heroes, which in this movie is the Dalai Lama. Also, Scorsese's atypical respect for institutions. Typically, Martin Scorsese will focus on and critique religious and social institutions, but in this film, for some reason, he actually respects the Buddhist philosophy, and he portrays the Dalai Lama as good, the Chinese as bad, spiritual life as unfathomable, and the material life as a life that's fraught with peril. So I'm going to compare the Kundun movie to The Matrix. Both of the films are films that, despite their differences, share a common theme of self-discovery and a transformative journey. The Kundun is a biographical drama, and it portrays the life of the Dalai Lama. It shows you his early life as a spiritual leader, his exile from Tibet, and his steadfast commitment to a spiritual path. His spiritual journey is similar to Neo in the Matrix because it focuses on mindfulness and the renunciation of material and sensual desires. However, The Matrix is a science fiction film, not a biographical film, and it tells the story of Neo, a computer hacker who discovers the artificial reality of the Matrix and embarks on a journey of self-discovery and resistance against the oppressive system. Neo's transformation throughout the film can be linked to the spiritual journey of Dalai Lama and Kundun because they both have a life dominated by illusions of material world, but they come to understand a deeper meaning of life, which is their own potential and their own reality when they give up material desires. This film reinforces one's understanding of Buddhism by providing us with valuable insight into the Buddhist ways. By getting a view of the Dalai Lama and his life and just the overall grandiosity of that Buddhist tradition, it gives you kind of an inside look, and it really tells the story of how much Buddhism means to so many people and just how impactful it is as a religion. It sheds light on difficulties a spiritual leader can face, but he stayed committed to nonviolence even when there was much political unrest. It gave the audience an opportunity to look into the core of Buddhism by diving into one of the oldest traditions, which is the Dalai Lama. And it shows the value of letting go of worldly aspirations in the Buddhist tradition. The Buddhist tradition's emphasis on inner calm and self-discovery. Overall, we'd give the movie a 4-star. In terms of like a Buddhist movie for a class, we thought it was very good. It's a great director, obviously, so you just have to give him props. I think it was a good movie, but would I recommend it to my friends? Probably not, but that doesn't take away from the greatness of the movie. Thank you.
Thank you.